Local programming on KRWG made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Fronteras, Changing America. I'm Carlos Correa. On the program, Ralph Ramos, principal at Camino Real Middle School in Las Cruces. We'll talk about his policies that take direct aim at bullying. We'll find out the warning signs and what teachers are doing to combat the issue. Plus, what are students really learning from the school's prevention methods? But first, an Area 12-year-old is taking the initiative and standing up for the students being bullied today. He's taking his fight to the one place people his age can often be found, the social media website, Facebook.
I decided to spend my life trying not to just stop bullying, but to change violent ways and negative aspects of humanity.
12-year-old Darren Getz is reading something he posted on Facebook not too long ago.
It might be hard and will take generations, but maybe if I start a movement now, who knows, maybe word can end. Very unlikely, but it's worth a shot.
Darren is giving a voice to the many victims of bullying.
I'm not stopping at that. What about injustice? What about child abuse? What about homicide? It seems impossible, but the world peace is worth the try. I feel bad for the kids that get bullied. Like, I feel really bad for them, like it shouldn't happen to them.
He created a page where his classmates at Theyre Middle School can go and vent, but mostly to support the end of bullying.
Because, like, it's not right.
Darren says bullying happens before and after school, and especially during lunchtime. He's also seen it happen off campus.
Well, like, I see a bunch of stuff happening around, like, kids getting pushed and stuff. And, like, I'm like, man, that's sad. And like you'll see at the mall, kids getting put down. I just feel ashamed of them.
Darren used to be bullied and wants to help others overcome it. He says taking a stand is the first step.
I don't really care. I mean, like, it wasn't that bad for me. I just ignored them and they went away. And they stopped bothering me. And they started kissing up to me.
Everyone's circumstance is different. Darren's father says being bullied can often be a difficult thing to walk away from. The Facebook page called Stop Bullying, Act Now is giving young people a new avenue to find that needed support.
He's always helped kids younger than him, and he's got a good head on his shoulder. We don't help him write any of his papers. He thinks of it all of himself. He comes up with these ideas.
The webpage is getting a lot of attention and bringing the issue to light, which Don Getz says is a good thing.
A lot of parents don't pay attention. For instance, he filled out his schedule last year for the classes in school for this year, and we weren't even aware of it. And I asked the school about it, and they said, well, we already did that. And I said, well, my son isn't going to decide his life. I do. And they said, well, we didn't. We just have the kids do it. And this is, the parents have to take more. Pay attention.
For now, the prevention campaign will be online. Students plan to make posters and create flyers to bring even more awareness to other young people.
You look around Las Cruces, you look around other places, it's just sad. I mean, like, it's hopeless around here. Like, no one ever stands up about bullying and stuff here. You see Cartoon Network stuff, but no one's ever going to pay attention to that. So I'm like, I'm just going to take a stand and like get my friends to get with me and get more people and get support.
And we wish Darren all the best, and we'll be sure to follow up with his campaign at a later time. Meanwhile, my guest today knows a lot about the subject of bullying. Real Middle School Principal Ralph Ramos, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back on campus. It is great to be back, KRWG and home of the Aggies.
Yeah, thank you for being here. We're talking about a subject that has been with us for quite a while, but it has changed. Can you describe bullying, where it was back then to where it is now?
Sure. You know, bullying's been around for, gosh, since I was a kid. We've all been around through that. But I think it's really now really increased as far as media attention. You know, I don't think the levels of bullying has increased. I think just the media attention has really built it up and made more people aware of different types of bullying, and you know, making students aware of the different levels and what to do when they witness or are being bullied. You know, they need to learn what to do, and that's one of the things that we really work with the students on, getting them engaged to do the right thing.
Now, your school is taking a proactive approach to bullying. Can you tell us a little bit about the policy you have in place? How old is it? And tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, you know, we do have a really good, it's actually a model. It's a bully proofing model that we've implemented actually a year ago. And this is going on my 3rd year at Camino Real. And what we've done is our administrative team, as well as with student and teacher input, we created a model that basically, it's very simple. We have to figure out, is it peer conflict or is it bullying? Mm-hmm. And within that model, of course, we have the source that brings us that information to an adult in the building. And there's 4 essential questions. You know, what happened? Are you friends? Has this been going on for a while? Do you want to, you know, help prevent it from happening again? And with that, we figure out, is it peer conflict or bullying? Let's say it's peer conflict. The teacher normally at that level, or the adult at that level, will have some type of a little mediation, look into it, investigate, a minor brief, you know, how serious is it? And let's say, hey, you know what, it is bullying. Well, at that point, what happens then, it's turned over to administrators and counselors. And what we like to do is we like to bring in, you know, both parties, you know, the perpetrator, the victim, and we try to have a mediation. We do involve the school resource officer as well, very helpful in the schools. And we try to figure out, hey, how serious is this that's happening, and what are we going to do to prevent it? You know, I think one of the things that, and probably 95% of the cases that we deal with this way, it ends right there. Mm-hmm. Okay, now on the other hand, there is that true bullying that's taking it to the next level. If you allow these bullies to get away with things, then, you know, they continue doing it or they move on to somebody else. But one of the things is to help this person, this student, to learn, hey, not to do this. And you know, what if you were getting bullied? We try to turn, you know, the cards around to make them see the whole picture as well.
So in your time at Camino Real, has bullying been an issue at your school?
You know what, bullying is everywhere. Mm-hmm. In fact, society today, no one is perfect, no one is 100% bulletproof, but it happens everywhere. There's just different types of bullying. You know, to me, I'm seeing more of the middle school type of bullying versus the gang, the intensive, you know, threatening, you know, super threats that create an unsafe environment. I've seen that really go down since we've implemented this policy. Number one is because we have kids, they're trained to, number one, don't participate in it. Number two, tell an adult. If you witness a student getting bullied, hey, act on it. Go tell an adult, get the attention, and let's look into it right away. And that's where we've trained our staff to be proactive. You know, it doesn't matter if it's the littlest form. He took my ball, you know, he keeps taking my ball away every day or whatever, you know, versus, you know what, he's threatened me with cyberbullying. Of course, there's different types of, you know, bullying as well. And technology has really created a major trend change with bullying as well, with Facebook, and texting has been a major problem, which a lot of times that type of bullying, of course, happens after school. Mm-hmm. And where it's key and it's very crucial is to have a meaningful conversation as parents with your student. You know, every day check on how was things going, you know, today at school, or what's going on in your life. And a lot of times the parent and the student do communicate, and well, somebody's been texting me these vulgar messages or threatening me, you know, things like that. And a lot of times parents will say, hey, let's see where it turns out. Let's see, you know, just let's give it some time. But really, that's the wrong thing to do. As an administrator, I really appreciate parent communication, their involvement, to call me, to be proactive, even if it's a minor thing. So-and-so is, you know, again, taking my son's basketball every day, or, you know, taking part of his lunch or something. And that's where we need to really look into it and investigate and do the thing that's right. You know, on the other hand, students also need to learn to advocate for themselves. And that's where sometimes students are like, well, I'm not going to be a rat, mm-hmm. you know, and we need to overcome, you know, that, where we make them feel, you know, where they can come forward to an adult and feel free to communicate. I know as adults in the building, and this doesn't matter if it's a security guard, which we really value at our school as well, custodian, teachers, principals, we've got to make meaningful connections with students. For example, I have one student, I knew he was having problems with students, having a hard time to socialize with other students. And I kind of picked his brain a little bit, and he led me to think, you know, he likes fishing. So I said, hey, well, you know what? That next weekend, I went out and bought a goldfish little tank for my office. And that was the connection I made with him. And now he comes in daily to feed it. He changes and cleans the tank out once a week. And then now in fact, yesterday he came in, Mr. Ramos, I've got a problem. Can I talk to you about it? Mm-hmm. You know, so now he feels comfortable coming in. And that's just one example of the millions of examples that are going on throughout, you know, the teacher and the student connection out there on campus.
Tell us the process in which you guys came up with this policy, and how much of an involvement were the parents in this?
You know, just by listening to parents and them concerned, especially when I had a vocal group of 5th grade parents when they came to our open house, you know, that's their biggest concern. Kids are, you know, they're excited about coming to a new facility, but the parents are like, we've heard middle school that there's a lot of bullying, and what are you doing to change these type of things? Well, I'll tell you what, let's get involved with our PTSO. And by getting them involved, we listened to parents. You know, and that's part of our EPSS parental involvement goal, school goal, is to get parents to come in. And with that started that whole trend. Hey, what are we gonna do? You know, to make sure and assure parents that their kids are safe and that kids feel safe at school. So that was the kindle that started the big old fire to get this policy in place.
Was it important to have everyone at the table when you were creating this type of policy? And were there any kids involved?
Absolutely. You know, we have our student council, our voice of students at Camino. Mm-hmm. And these students, we had our president get involved, as well as some other students, grade level representatives. And one of the things, in fact, currently we're running a survey. We have what we call focus groups, and we're taking bullying to the next level. We're constantly reviewing, hey, is it, you know, how do you feel? Do you feel safe at school? You know, what are the forms of bullying that you're seeing out there? And, you know, by involving technology with Survey Monkeys and getting this input from students, it's really helped out a lot. In fact, this focus group also came up with our weekly Rachel's Challenge quotes, you know, based on perseverance and honesty and really reflecting within the student themselves. So we're always, you know, trying to involve parents and students all the time in this type of process.
You mentioned to me off camera that you just don't teach the students about bullying one time. It's an ongoing thing.
Absolutely, and that is a must. In order for it to change and people to start believing and changing the culture of the school. And just for example, we introduced our bully-proof plan to a staff. We had professional development. We had to get them on board on what should we start doing. Mm-hmm. Then the teachers went to the classrooms and shared it with the students. But then we also had Jeff Yalden, he's a motivational speaker, came in and he talked about bullying, well, what should we do, you know, and reinforced step 1, don't participate. Number 2, tell an adult, which it's very basic. And by doing that, we've taken it to the next level as well by bringing in Rachel's Challenge. Rachel Scott was the first victim in the Columbine shooting that took place several years ago, but she was always being proactive with new students and trying to just do the right character type of thing for new students and welcome them to the school. But it's constant training and revisiting. Students also committed to no bullying, no violence, no drugs by signing a school banner with their name on it. In fact, all staff was involved with that. Our leadership from our superintendent, Mr. Stan Rounds, he also was involved with that. So we made it a big thing because it was a big thing. And again, we revisit those type of things. We also have what we call behavior events every quarter. throughout the school year. And that's an incentive for no discipline referrals, to keep kids involved. We've had night evening dances. We've had in-school fun booths and movies and in-house gym dances, things like that. On the other hand, our big finale is at the end of the year. We're going to actually have a carnival on campus to celebrate good behavior and doing the right thing to prevent bullying.
When a student comes to either a teacher or to yourself and they discuss and talk about bullying, how do you as an administrator or as a teacher assess, is this actually bullying or is just, poking fun?
And that's exactly right, because there is a difference. There's bullying and then there's peer conflict. And that's the first step that the adult should be doing, is asking 4 essential questions. Who are you having problems with? How long has it been going on? Are you friends? What do you want to do to resolve this? The very first basic step. And then that's where we start breaking it down. Well, you know what? It is peer conflict. So then we normally get a counselor involved, or that teacher will have a basic mediation take place. On the other hand, when you do have an intensive, hey, you know what, here's the threats on the cell phone, here's some witnesses, oh yeah, no, he threatened, he's gonna beat him up after school or on the way home or whatnot, that's when we bring in the reinforcements. And we've got to be proactive to try to prevent violence. That's when we as administrators go in there and start investigating this whole thing, and again, communicating with parents, letting them know what's going on.
Now, your students are young at your school. How do they know when they're actually being bullied and when they're not?
You know what, it's pretty hard for students to decipher that. And I think what our main goal is to train students to advocate for themselves, advocate for their friends whenever they witness, conflict of some type, and I think just being aware that, hey, there is a problem here. Things aren't normal and natural with this kind of behavior. Report it to an adult and let the adults handle it. A lot of times, especially in middle school, they like to resolve things themselves, but rather than resolving that matter, they confront. I heard rumors, you're telling, you're talking about me, saying this, and that. And that's when the defenses come up, and that's when you have problems. So when we get these rumors, we bring them in, hey, we work that thing out.
What do you think sparked the whole talk about bullying in recent years?
You know what, I think, again, it's the media. I think awareness, of even our district, Las Cruces Public Schools, they take a strong approach, for, preventing bullying and just making people aware to what to do. Parents, this is what you need to do. You need to act. Don't just listen and pacify and let time, fix everything. That's not the case. We need to be proactive and jump on board. But again, when you look at society, we're not perfect. We look at television shows, there's always the negative gestures that are funny and entertaining. So therefore students start feeling they can do the same thing, on campus, even with, basic, racial comments, which is totally inappropriate and not allowed. And that stimulates and gets bigger and bigger because, it's perception. How do these kids take these comments?
When it comes to bullying, is it happening to more young females or more males, particularly at your school?
Right. You know what? It's about a 50-50, and it all varies. The nice thing is that I believe that the harder core threats of fighting and intensive, I'm going to beat you up, we're going to create some violence here, those I think have really dwindled down. I haven't seen those as intensive. But again, I think on the other hand, we hear more of the smaller, minor things. So-and-so is calling me a name, but we deal with it at that point. And by dealing with it, we crush it, and we teach these students, to do the right thing.
When you deal with a problem child, the person who's doing the bullying, do they realize that they're actually bullying somebody?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. I had that take place yesterday. In fact, this kid did not realize what he was causing and creating to the victims' lives. You know, these victims didn't want to come to school. You know, they didn't want to be there. They didn't feel safe. And yet once he realized, the kid actually showed a lot of remorse, tears, crying, I apologize. You know, they do realize what they did, and you know, and they don't want to be involved with it. The other thing is when we involve the police, you know, our school resource officers are very firm with that. You know, we have the initial mediations, and of course when there's bodily harm that's taking place, we have to take action. We have policy to follow. We also involve the police where charges could be pressed. But on the other hand, we hope to nib it before it gets to that level, and then we follow up with students, you know, to make sure, hey, what's going on? And but you know, students normally learn, and they do get remorseful when they do see the whole picture.
What makes people become bullies? Is it something that's happening at home, in their lives?
Absolutely. You know, it definitely starts at home. And I'm not necessarily saying coming from the parents, but when you get kids around the uncles, you know, and the aunts, and everybody's joking around, you know, kids pick up on this, followed with a TV show. You know, here's George Lopez, you know, cutting down, you know, Ernie or you know, his mom or whatever. So they feel like, hey, I can do the same thing. And I believe that's where it originates. And then even around the, you know, the kids at school, whenever they start calling each other, you know, different names and whatnot, and they allow it to happen, it just gets bigger from there.
Now, you mentioned earlier that parents should take initiative and be more involved with their kids' lives. Is there any signs that parents should be aware of, especially when students aren't really open or they don't want to talk about things with their parents? Absolutely.
You know, kids tend to shut down and they don't want to give information. And, you know, how's your day today? It was okay. You know, no, you got to dig in more. Dig in. Well, how was it okay? You know, what did you do? What did you do in your math class? Hey, by the way, what did you do during lunch? You know, time. How was socializing today? How are your friends? You know, who are your friends? You know, and even as a parent, when they ask you, hey, can I go out to the mall with so-and-so? Well, you know what? Let's call your friends' parents and let's get to meet them as well. You know, try to get to know as much about your student as possible. You know, always dig more questions in. And when you have information, you know, again, don't hesitate to call administrators. Give us our heads up. We don't go out and say, well, so-and-so called and said, you know, that you were doing this. That doesn't work that way. It's always a bird flew by, or we just gathered this information and we're trying to prevent this to keep you from getting into trouble.
Does your programming ever involve training, maybe educating parents on bullying?
You know what, that's an excellent question. We do cover that, but as far as training, I would say no, but that's a great component, and we definitely need a parent bullying night awareness, you know, type of training. But we do at open houses cover this bullying plan on what to do, and we strongly recommend parents, again, to get a hold of us either through telephone, through our website, our email. Teacher Ease is another component that they can get a hold of us. And again, we do have a policy that if a staff member does not get back to a teacher within 24 hours, again, follow up and we'll make sure, you know, something goes on.
And then you have ongoing training for teachers and for staff members at your school, correct?
You bet. We start out the school year, again, revisiting it. Throughout the year, we, you know, again, encourage our Rachel's Challenge quotes to be discussed in the classroom. I know a lot of our language arts teachers also take it even deeper to start writing about it, things like that. But as far as professional development, we do have continuous. I know we just at our school got approved on a grant that there's going to be some training going on using the proper language and communication to seek out these type of problems and issues.
So has the issue of bullying kind of cut down ever since the policy started? Have you noticed?
You know what, I think it has. You know, the thing about it is that students are now being more proactive. They know what to do. And just with that alone, I've even had students come in and report a teacher for bullying.
Really?
Yes, which turns the cards around, you know, and that's where you have to have, as an administrator, the conversation with your employee, the teacher. And, you know, when you start questioning things like that, you know, it helps us professionals realize, you know what, I've got to think about what I'm saying, you know, and that happens a lot with coaches. You're trying to motivate kids and really fire them up, but again, it's perception. You know, by me yelling and trying to pump up the whole group, there's still some that aren't used to that yelling.
Right.
You know, so that's where it's nice to have this system in place where students can report anybody once they feel uncomfortable and feel that there's a bullying type of atmosphere.
And as you mentioned, they probably don't even know that they're bullying.
Right.
Is there a website that people can go to find more information about bullying or perhaps the policies at your school?
You bet. They can go to Las Cruces Public School website or also Camino Real Middle School website, which you can get it off the LCPS website. But on the other hand, they can contact the school at 575-527-6030. Call us anytime. If I'm not available, my assistant principals, counselors, there's always someone there to talk to. And definitely we're proactive. We encourage that. Email us, get my email through our website as well, and we'll get back to you.
Sounds good. Ralph Ramos, thank you so much for joining us, principal at Camino Real Middle School. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, sir.
And that's all the time we have. Remember, you can see this entire interview online at krwg.org. While you're there, you can visit us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Carlos Correa. We'll see you next time.